So is there hope for a new spiritual harvest in the countryside? Even though the task is immense, one rector of a string of villages just outside Norwich believes there is.
Here in the Tass Valley benefice, we're in a group of 6 churches, in the sense we've got 6 congregations with 6 PCCs, but they have 7 church buildings, medieval church buildings between them. But also, what's I suppose a bit different about the Tass Valley benefice is that we have a cell church, which we refer to as a church without walls, because it doesn't have a building of its own, it meets in people's homes. The cell church sits alongside the other parish churches, and really we see it as equivalent to a parish congregation. Our cell church has lots of little groups meeting midweek, currently 7 small groups, involves about another 40-50 people. In a cell we do everything really that is there in being church. We support each other and pray for each other, we learn from the Bible, we worship God, and we reach out in mission and witness and serving our local community. So everything that a church would do, a cell church does, but it does it in a different way, if you like, and therefore it sort of suits different people.
The cell group that I attend here in Taysborough has been a kind of a mainstay in my life. I have a fellowship. Everyone's extremely supportive. It's a family.
The countryside is an environment that's changed an awful lot over the last few decades. People think of the countryside as a place where people, in villages have lived for generations and all their family are around them, and it's dominated by farming, and really a lot of rural areas aren't much like that anymore. There are large numbers of people who've come into villages, not been there very long, and a much smaller percentage of people actually involved in working on the land. In a way, Cell has helped us here to address that sense of need for community that people have. We especially, some people who are very isolated as single parents and so on. It really gives a sort of family feel that perhaps sometimes used to be there in smaller villages just because of people being neighbours, but is no longer the case.
I joined the cell a couple of years ago through Jane. She kept asking me for coffee mornings, and at the time my husband had just been diagnosed with a brain tumour, and there weren't many support networks to help us. So joining the cell just gave us a different network of support and a different network of friends that I knew I could always call on for prayer, and just general support to get us through very difficult times, really.
We've been meeting together for about a year or so now as the group that we are. A very mixed group of people. It's people from all sorts of backgrounds, and as such it's really an absolute delight for me how it has worked out.
For me, being part of a cell group is very much being part of a community, feeling part of really a family. To me, they are like family, and you can go along and talk about your problems and other people's, and not be judged, and it's in confidence.
Cells are different from congregational church in the sense that in a cell you can be much more intimate and confidential, and there is a sort of inbuilt commitment to the other people in your cell. In a congregation you might be perhaps the only person under the age of 35, and you could feel quite isolated in your local village congregation. We had people becoming Christians. They weren't always ready to go into traditional worship. It was sort of like, well, what is that thing going on up at the altar? And actually cells, because it's just meeting with a few people that you get to know very well in somebody's homes, is much less threatening environment in which to sort of really learn about faith for the first time. We've really found it's made a huge difference. My dream for this group of villagers really is that we'll see more people coming to know Jesus, but not only just coming to know who he is, but really that we'll be following him more closely and enthusiastically together. And Christians come from all different perspectives, being able to respect each other and enjoy each other's company without having to constrain each other into each other's styles.